Hello and welcome. I'm Joe, aka Scorn, and this is Tony.
Hey, that's me.
And we're here to talk about the gaming industry and everything in between. And this week we're joined by my brother, Daniel Brace, aka the Punisher himself, or Muck Brace, which you go by now.
These days it's either Dan, which is really original, or Bracey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't believe I just waved as well. I waved when you pointed at me on the podcast.
We haven't got round to setting up webcams yet, so...
Yeah, I can see that though. I can see it in spirit.
Yeah, even though you've never met me, you can wave, Tony.
Haven't
That's
I?
how it works.
I think I
He's
have
seen
once.
you like once. He's been to my birthday party when you got really drunk and
Shh,
passed
that
out.
didn't happen. I have erased that from my memory.
Okay. Right, so as Daniel's
you
the guest
want me
this
to
week,
edit
I'll
that
ask
out?
him first.
Maybe edit it out.
Yeah, edit that out.
Yeah,
and
we'll
post
edit
it.
that out. So, Daniel, usually what I ask Tony is what you've been watching on YouTube or Twitch, or what you've been playing in games-wise this week. So what have you been playing or watching?
Well, this week I have been playing mostly Rocket League because it's the new hot thing.
Yeah.
I've also been playing a little bit of The Division because the closed beta's out at the moment, and I was one of the people who managed to get in. So I think we have a topic coming up a bit later about that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it, really. I watched a few Twitch streams. There's a chap called Mark who goes by Video Game Carnage. He plays atmospheric horror.
I've never heard of him.
No, he's quite small.
Explain more. I'd love to hear.
He's a funny chap. He's from Gloucestershire, so he
Right.
sounds a lot like Stephen Merchant.
All right.
Yeah, he constantly gets
Me-
stick for just saying, "Oh, you sound like Wheatley's." Just fuck off.
Me and Tony are big fans of the Ricky Gervais podcast, so we listen to Stephen all the time.
Yeah, that's about it. What about you?
I've been playing this week. I've been playing Resident Rise, the Minecraft mod. It's
Yeah,
very.
I heard
big
you
mod,
play it
actually.
to the wee hours of the night.
I was playing that last week as well. I've been playing it quite a while. I actually got screwed over really hard last night. I finished building my factory. I had it all nice and decorated, and then the blood moon came, and dynamite was thrown through my windows, and everything was blowing up. And I was like, right, that's it. I don't want to play this, and I was just like, quit it out. So I might go back on that. I played League of Legends this week because they just added a new queuing system. So what they've done is they've changed the way you play the game. Usually you go into a lobby and you have like a draft pick and you pick your champion there, and there's a lot of squabble and fighting. People didn't get the champion they wanted or the role they wanted, and they just, like, oh, fuck you, go die. That's real dialogue. Someone this week told me, I said nothing to him, and he posted in all chat, I hope you die of cancer. Really, there's some really abusive people on League of Legends, but fortunately there's the mute feature, and with this new queue system, what you can do is you can you can select your role before you queue. So I can say I want to play jungle,
Cool.
and then you have a secondary role, and I say actually if I don't get jungle, I'll go mid. So it matches you up with 4 other people who've filled out the other roles, and that way everybody gets their role. And they've also added to the rank system. Usually you can only queue with one person, but now they've made it so that you can do what's called dynamic queuing. So usually you could queue by yourself with one person to gain a rank, but now you can queue to gain ranked solo, elo with multiple people. So I could queue with a full pre-made team of
I
people.
was going to say, surely you've not been able to do that possibly?
No. It's in a lot of MOBAs you don't have dynamic queues because they can get abused. Like I know,
I thought Smite had some sort
Dota
of
has had it or had it. I know CS:GO has a dynamic queue, and people don't really value the rank system that much. They use
That's true.
their own different personal system now.
I mean, my only experience personally of MOBAs doesn't really count. I think is Awesome Nauts, so it's a much more.
I think
dumbed
Awesome
down
Nauts is a
platformer.
really interesting game. They have one of the best death mini games in the MOBA genre. You get to collect those coins as you come down on the rocket ship.
Yeah, it's basically the currency in the game is solar. They have what's called the solar drop, and each time you die, you spawn in a little drop pod. You collect as much as you can on the way down, and because obviously there's an inherent bad point to dying, which is you lose some solar, and that you drop for the enemy team. But you can actually make back what you lost and a bit more. But obviously you haven't been alive during that time if you get the solar drop perfect. So it's an interesting mechanic.
But well, I've been playing that. and a little bit of everything in between, as the show title will tell you. What have you been playing or watching, Tony?
I've been watching a lot of, I guess, Cold Run videos and like starters and stuff. Catching up really, and I've been playing Civ 5.
You were playing it just
Civ
now
5.
when we wanted to start the podcast, but you were telling me just one more turn.
I was playing with friends, so there's another time to play it, so that's why.
So
we did get stuck one more turn. I'll be honest with you. It's always a problem with 4X games.
Have you not got Beyond Earth, or do you just not like it?
I don't like it.
It's really bad.
Like most
agreed.
4X's games, you can't buy it until there's expansion packs for it.
Yeah.
Dave got Beyond Earth, and he said it wasn't worth playing, so I didn't bother.
I pre-ordered it like before it came out, like a fair distance, because I'm not the biggest player of that style of games.
You don't have the time for it, really.
It's not so much I don't have the time, because at the weekends, like, I'd quite happily be able to play with, James Skemmel and one of my friends, Ash.
Yeah.
So there's the time. It's just that I've gone off of them. I just kind of sit there, and once I figured out, the only thing I seem to be any good at is science victories.
One of my friends, Dave, he is addicted to Civ. He has over 2,000 hours on Civ, and I think the other day he had a conversion. He was like, "I've never completed a game of Civ."
What?
Yeah.
Does he need to have an intervention?
Every time he messages me on Steam, it's not hello, it's Civ? Question mark. Civ. He's someone that when we were playing on our mod pack, I think it was the Yogscraft Complete pack, he got addicted to marble. Like he built everything out of marble, and every time it's like, got any marble? You got any marble?
Okay.
And it got to a point where I could be like, oh, Dave's got a stack of marble for you, and he was like, well, I've got a stack of diamonds for you. Like he really valued marble, and then we had to have a serious intervention with him when we found him on the server one day spawning marble in because he couldn't get enough.
What a cheat.
Yeah. So that's what we've been playing and watching this week. So I'll move us on to the first topic, which is Origin Access. Now this came out a couple of weeks ago, but I've wanted to talk about it. I think this looks pretty good. So for anyone that doesn't know, it's around about $5 or about £4 a month, and you get access to what's called the Vault, which is full of EA games, and there's quite a few ones in there. There's quite a few good ones. There's some, the EA sports games. There's some shooting games, FPS, those sort of genre of games, and they say they're going to add more as it goes along. And you also get a discount. It's very similar to PSN Plus, but you can also get it on the PC. It's going to be available on PC, Xbox. I don't know about PlayStation. I don't think so, because of PlayStation Plus. They probably haven't made a deal with them.
No,
But,
it seems
yeah,
that
it
it's
looks
just
pretty
for
good.
Xbox at the moment. There's also a feature where you can play it before it comes out for a period of time as well.
Yeah, you get like early beta access as well with it.
Is it beta, or is it just like exclusivity?
Yeah, it's pre-release.
Is it pre-release? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that is weird.
It's on the website now. It's like play first, play upcoming EA games and Xbox Ones for a limited time before they're released.
I think someone worked out with the discount you had to like buy one game and you'd already earned back the money that you'd put into it by getting the discount.
That's impressive.
Yeah. It actually seems like a pretty good system. Like I know a lot of people were critical of EA in the past, but I think they've come leaps and bounds. Like even with the Battlefront and the microtransactions, I think Origin is probably up there with one of the better DRM game library browsing systems. I think it would go like Steam. I think GOG Galaxy isn't developed enough.
You could
Origin.
put your games back. Like you could return it before Steam had the return feature. Origin's had that for a lot longer.
I think if we've got Uplay, that can be the evil one. Nobody wants to use Uplay, Toby. You had something to do with Uplay, didn't you? That you found.
Yeah, I have to. I really love playing Anno. Like, that's one of the games I played the most. I've probably put like 1,000 or 2 hours into it. But I have to. I bought it through Uplay. Like, actually, what game is gay? I saw no point buying it through Steam, and it's just a pain in the ass every time I have to load up Uplay.
Well, Steam forces you to go through Uplay anyway, so it's not.
Yeah, but it's even worse when you have to go through Steam. Like it's a lot easier it's a lot easier to go through Uplay by itself, but it's still a pain. Just going through Steam, it just desyncs all the time.
When I first got my graphics card, that came with a free copy of like a certain set of games, and the one I picked was Far Cry 4. So that was my first, one of my first interactions with Uplay. And I think the first time I'd actually ever used it was when I played Blood Dragon, which is probably one of my favourite.
Have you not played Warp?
No. I think you bought that for me.
Yeah.
And then
That's definitely
haven't
got
loaded
Uplay
it.
on it.
Yeah. So I've when I first experienced it, one of the cooler things I did like about it was the ability to kind of unlock achievements for some kind of score, and then unlike just arbitrary numbers that like, here's my gamer score. What does that mean? My EP is this big. It actually related to something else. It's like, and now if you use these points,
credits and you can buy a
unlock
costume.
stuff in game. Yeah, exactly.
They've always done this because even like in the Assassin's Creed 2, I know when I had it on Xbox, you could buy like these things with Uplay points, and they weren't just this useless gamer score. I think that was a good feature.
It's probably the only good feature they've got going for them.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's kind of like, it's almost as clever as what Valve do, but not quite there. Valve have this really clever mantra of, let's make something that doesn't exist, let's make money on it, and then let's resell it and make money on it again, but pass some of the value back to the player.
Let's supply and demand it to give it its own value.
It's really clever.
Not only with trading cards, but with the whole friends level system, where you can level up and you get a level on your system that gives you more friend slots, increases your booster pack drop. We were looking at the maths the other day, weren't we, Tony? Where you can, the more games you own, every time you buy a game on Steam, you get extra, like XP for your Steam level.
Yeah.
And the multiplier changes, so it's like times 1.5 if you have very little
It's really
games.
odd though. Like, it started off.
It gets smaller.
It started getting smaller until you hit 500, and it started getting bigger.
When you hit 500, you went back up to like a normal rate, so it rewards people who
so
have a lot
I've
of
already
games
reached
on
that then.
Steam.
It's strange.
Yeah, it's a really weird system, but it works.
It's so going back to EA Play's Origin Access, it's
well, EA plays their convention.
Oh, that's something else. Okay, so going back to Origin Access, is there a dichotomy between the Xbox versus the PC offerings? Do you know?
I think it's exactly the same price.
It seems exactly the same on the website. You can log in exactly the same by the looks of it.
So they're the same price, but is there a difference between the games they're offering? So
no, I think it's exactly the same.
Oh wow, okay, that's interesting. I mean, I guess there must be some limits to that. Like there must be some console exclusives, obviously that.
I don't think EA makes console exclusives.
Yeah, I don't think EA wouldn't do that because they'd cut up so much of their profit margins by making exclusive games.
That's true.
The only game, actually, I think I saw one, Peggle. I know that there's an Xbox One exclusive Peggle game, and I saw it on the Xbox version.
Is this there seems to be Unravel on here as well? Is that an Xbox exclusive?
No, I've seen Unravel come up on I want to say Uplay actually. Not Uplay. Something I've seen on my PC.
It might be made by Ubisoft. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I'm really annoyed because EA bought up one of my favourite puzzle companies in the world. They bought up PopCap, and they just completely did nothing with them.
Yeah.
You know, there's Plants vs Zombies 2: Garden Warfare, which I've heard is pretty good, but they turned Peggle into this weird 2D loaded through the butt microtransactions Xbox One exclusive.
Yeah, I haven't played.
And they used to be a really great company. Like I have like over 100 hours on Bejeweled and Peggle and even the small like I used to play World of Warcraft, and the guys at PopCap used to play World of Warcraft, and there was this. They made this free add-on. They made a Peggle version, and it had all the WoW cities as Peggle levels, and they even added like a WoW talent system that you could, when you completed a level, you got a talent point, and you could like increase it, and it was really fun. But once EA took over, they had to take it down, and it was no longer available. I still have it, but there's like someone still has a copy of it. They have saved for anyone who wants to play it.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
It surprises me as well that they've called it Origin Access, because I swear about 3 months ago they told me I had to change my Origin account to an EA account.
They're pretty much the same thing, though, aren't they?
Yeah, but no, I think the email was they're merging the two, not they was turning into one.
Yeah. Okay, right. It's like, why don't you just keep them as they were? It seemed fine.
Well, no, I think to be fair, they've been operating as if they were one for the longest time. I think they're just like formally combining them now.
I think it's
because I've always had I had an EA account when I bought Dragon Age Origins, and then obviously I had an Origin account for Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition.
Oh, okay.
And I think they've been the same for a long time because I recently, a couple of years ago, bought Dragon Age Origins complete for the PC.
That makes exactly way more sense. Makes way more sense to merge it then.
I think it's funny that people hated Origin in the beginning because they stopped releasing their games from Steam, and then you see people like, we need to change your password. What is your security question? It's like, who do you hate most in the world? EA, fuck you, EA. Thank you for entering your security question. It's like, yeah, sorry about that. I made that security question a long time ago. But moving on from Origin Access, I think it's a final point. I think it's a good system, and it's something that something good that if you play a lot of EA games,
EA's done good again.
And
I'm surprised that something like Steam hasn't done this before. You know, it made sense. I think a lot of people who saw PSN when it first started, and they were like, "Oh God, now I'm gonna have to pay for what was free before to be able to go online and do all this stuff." Or like, I feel really jaded about this.
Xbox did the same thing, but you didn't get anything from it.
They'd always done that, right? And then it got to the PS3 and the PS4. Well,
on the PS3 they introduced like the PlayStation Plus, which gave you pay for it, and then they were like, give them free games, have exclusive servers, and it was
that's I think
optional.
This is why it surprised me that Steam hadn't done it sooner, because at first people saw this and they were like, I don't want to pay for this. But as soon as they realised the actual value of the amount of games they were getting, they pretty much understood. They were like, this is going to make tons of money.
Wasn't there this little box that you could stream games from? It was like a Ouija, or it was something like that. Ouya or something.
Ouya?
And they were going to be like, you can high-speed internet stream games to your thing, and you just pay monthly, and you get access to all these games. And it flopped completely. And I think a lot of companies saw that and went, nobody wants to, essentially rent out a games system, because you've seen the decline of like
I don't think that was the
renting games and that sort of thing.
I do know what you're on about.
Yeah, I thinking about the Ouya was the Android little thing that flopped, wasn't it?
Okay.
I'm thinking of something else. I know what you're talking about. It was a little. I think was it called OnLive?
Yeah,
I think
it was like orange. It was like orange, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With like lots of games, screenshots in the background. That was the video thing I always saw on YouTube at the time.
The only people I think, speaking of this kind of thing, that have actually done video streaming stuff properly is Nvidia. The Shields work really well, and what's that? Their one's called Grid. I don't know if any of you two have used Grid, but
no.
I've got people who've used Grid in the US, friends of mine, and they say it's really good.
I've heard the Nvidia Shield's pretty good. So.
Well, what benefits are? What does Grid do, and what are the benefits for it then?
So I think the point of Grid is that you don't necessarily have to have the, what I'm going to call inverted commas, beast mode hardware to run beast mode games, because you just have your Nvidia Shield, say your little tower console thing that's 4K or whatever, or you have your Shield controller with its little flip-up screen. And it's distributed computing at that point, so they've just got tons of server racks that can fire up VMs and then distribute you the video. And apparently, the biggest thing you'd think is the latency on that must be pretty bad, but apparently they've really got it nailed, because it's barely noticeable at all. So it's the idea that you pay a subscription to Grid, each month, and you have access to this massive library of games, rather than having to pay
that sounds actually fantastic.
$40,
For someone
$40.
like me who has really bad and invariable internet, I wouldn't be able to use that. But it sounds amazing. I wish I could use something like that.
Yeah, I think it's when I last checked, at least it was US only at the moment.
Okay.
But I mean, the UK is getting a better infrastructure every day than the US is.
One thing I really want to ask about that is were the games they playing single player or were they online?
I think they had a mixture. For the most part, they had games that were
latency is
racing games.
really important in online, especially high skill games like MOBAs or fighting games and stuff like that.
The comparison they gave was you aren't going to play competitive level CS:GO on this, because you wouldn't.
It's a tablet. You're going to be sitting on your couch.
But surely if you're playing competitive though, you would want to fork out the money for a beast PC. Anyway.
Exactly. Well, that's the point. Yeah, you would. So it's not really that.
It's not marketed to all those people at all.
Yeah. So going back to my mistake, Origin Access is one thing. What is EA Play?
So EA Play, basically EA have come out and they've said we're having our own games convention. What they're going to be showing is live streams, trailers, and demos. It's going to be like an E3, but for just EA games. Okay. They're going to have one in Los Angeles in June or July, sometime in the summer, and they're going to have one in London as well.
Are they planning to make this yearly?
I only assume they're going to make it yearly. They're probably going. It's basically just free advertising for EA, and they don't have to compete with all these other games. Because when you send your game to E3, you're going, "Hey, come and play an EA game." Oh, wait a minute! Sorry, I want to go play the Sony games over at the PlayStation booth. Yeah. Like, they've got cheerleaders there. I want to see the cheerleaders, and I want to see Jason Derulo. And they get all these crazy people in.
I don't actually want to see Jason Derulo.
Hold on, there's a guy over there. He's dancing in this, saying something like, "He's Han Solo. He's Han Solo." That's what I want to see.
I feel like there would be less booth babes in like a non-competition convention. I feel like if you like EA games, you just want to go there to play EA games, then you'll probably get a better chance. I feel like an E3 is going to be way more packed. You're going to be in line for hours, and you might get to play one game. So
do you think, like, if say like every publisher does this, then do you think like E3 will become more of like a not necessarily indie thing, but smaller publishers kind of?
I don't think E3 is going to. There's too much advertising in it.
Yeah. E3 is the daddy of conventions, as far as I can tell, right?
E3's for consumers. And it's for advertising.
Yeah, there's PAX Prime, for example, and PAX East.
PAX is a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I much prefer PAX as well.
PAX is more about we're going to show you what our game actually does instead of cars and trailers.
Yeah. God, that was the strangest thing. I think it was EA where they had Forza they were announcing, and they were just like,
pulled up a car.
Yep, just like, here's the GT, it's just slowly descending from the ceiling. It's going now.
Was
it
Microsoft who were like, we've got Pele, we've got fucking Pele?
Yeah, just sit and interview him for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then he was just like, thank you for having me. And he's like, that's great. Why did I just watch this?
Like, I hope there's none of that useless shit where they bring on famous people and cars and stuff, and there's more actual games and gameplays. They say they're going to have like hands-on demos, so hopefully people are going to be able to test, what the games run like. They'll probably be running on high-end PCs disguised as consoles as usual, but
I mean, normally I'd ask this sort of thing, so do you think we'll see new IP from X publisher? But with EA, it's not really something they even do anymore. I can't remember the last actual, excluding things like, say, EA Dice.
Yeah.
Because that's Dice at its heart, right?
LA Dice is the people who have been supporting Battlefield 4. Like, beyond this development, they made it into a really good playable game, and they recently released a new map. And I know Total Biscuit gave LA Dice Game Developer of the Year just because of how much work they put into Battlefield 4.
Yeah, so I mean, like, thinking about these kinds of things, you're only going to really actually be seeing things from other publishers apart from the FIFAs of the year, which, let's face it, they're going to be giving out probably then and then again at EA E3 again.
So do you think like EA is going to be both at E3 and their thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think moving any company who already has a good foothold in E3 isn't going to move away from that. They would be shooting themselves in the foot.
I guess
I feel like at E3 we'll still see the big come and look at our stuff, and then I feel like EA Play is going to be like, okay, now you can try this stuff. Now we're going to show you the more details.
So you think there's going to be more details with them? Access?
I think so, because there's going to be, if you think about E3, the scale of it all, right? Everyone's going to have one mindset that it's going to be, if you're there and you're a consumer, you'll be, I want to go do everything, and I'm going to do really short, sharp bursts. I bet barely anyone goes into E3 thinking, I want to play this specific game, and then maybe a few others, unless it's Overwatch. I think consumer-wise, that's the tending that it's going to be, right? But for this, for the media, for example, they're going to probably go into somewhere like E3. They'll start getting a feel for what's going to be big. Then they'll go to those specific booths and do the coverage there. At EA Play, they don't have to do that. because the consumer's going to be more rewarded, because it's going to say we're only showing EA games. Therefore, I would imagine the amount of games to play will be far less, so you can play all of them.
I think something that's going to be really big with EA Play is if they're able to get some Twitch guys down and do a Twitch stream, because all of the big conventions, you have like an E3 stream, you have like a PAX stream, if they can get like a Twitch stream and they can build a lot of hype around this convention, then they're really gonna, set themselves as one of the big conventions of the year. If they're able to pull in big numbers and they release some really good games, then they're going to be able to, make those sales.
Yeah, EA has a lot of games under the belt as well, so they can definitely pull that off.
With my ticket, if I buy it, as long as it comes with a man stood by the door that goes EA Sports.
I was saying this the other day when we were talking about this. If they have the EA Sports guy,
I think
just like, welcome to EA Sports. It's in the game.
I keep like seeing him in videos where he's like gone to conventions and people like record him. So I honestly think he likes going to these things himself.
Do you think that's a good thing for his life now? Do you reckon he goes home and he goes, "Yeah, I'm the EA Sports guy"? I think
he loves it.
I will be remembered as the EA Sports guy.
He goes home. He's like, "Hello, wife and children. It's in the game."
Yeah, I think that EA Play will be one to watch. I'm certainly, I wouldn't be as feverish as I would be to buy a ticket to something like E3.
Okay.
Right, I know that for E3, if I were to ever go, there's so much more to see there. It's not only the hustle and bustle of trying to get to see all the Q games, but it's like there's always cosplayers and God knows what else.
I think we probably. We don't live in America, so we'd be more likely to go to like a Gamescom or a DreamHack.
Yeah, like
or you went to Insomnia.
Yes, Insomnia's different, right? So Insomnia is, for those of you that don't know, started out as a LAN gaming convention. It's been in Telford, it's been a race course. Now it's finally moved to the NEC in Birmingham, and it's getting bigger, right? So recently, it's run by Multiplay, who were bought up by Game. And it has an expo hall. The first year I went was the first year they had a Minecraft zone. So my first experience of this expo hall...
12-year-old kids.
Yeah, was not the best. It was walking around, you'd have your PC set up, because obviously you're there for the weekend playing games, and you just see these kids who are like 12 walk past your PC like, "Don't you touch my stuff, don't you drool on my stuff." And no offense to any 12-year-old kids watching, but keep hold of mom's hand.
Did you got to play in VR when you were there?
Yeah, that was the cool thing,
you bought
right?
the dev kit.
So for the expo hall, at least, they did have some of that stuff set up, but it wasn't to show off new games in particular.
Yeah.
Like, each time I've been, there's the Razor bus there, for example, and there's a few new things, like they've had a few of the Assassin's Creed games set up from fairly big publishers, but nothing as near as targeted as you would get at E3 or something like that. The reason why I played on the Rift for the first time when I was there, and this was actually the original dev kit, this was just DK1, was because someone on our table, we went as a fairly big group, actually bought one and bought it with him. So we spent basically the entire weekend using that. That's what sold me originally on VR. When I was there last time, which was just before Christmas, they had Steam Vive set up there. They had the Valve Vive, HTC, whatever you want to call it, set up there. That's completely different. So it's obviously getting bigger, but it's nothing compared to E3. I don't think you can equate the two.
I think this year they're having more tournaments. They had a Hearthstone tournament.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't like Trump there, and he was streaming from Insomnia.
Yeah, Trump was there. Life Coach was there.
Some other players.
Yeah, don't ask me names of Hearthstone players. I used to watch a fair few of them, but
I know they're definitely. I think when a LAN convention comes more towards like having esports tournaments, having publishers get interested and want to show their trailers at them, that's when they really get elevated.
Yeah. So, for example, the bigger tournament stage this year was actually completely sponsored by Battleborn, which is the new. I don't know what to call it. It's kind of a MOBA. It's like a third-person skills-based.
Super Monday Night Combat?
Yeah, kinda, and that's
like
made by 2K. And they sponsored the tournaments there. Fun fact: my friend Loz, who we went with, he actually entered the Open Rocket League tournament and came second. So they ended up getting 500 quid between the three of them, which was kind of cool.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, it's nothing like, say, the international, right? You're never going to have like this massive.
You're never going to have Dow Mouse or Dead Mouse. Or...
Dead Mouse 5, we'll call him.
I saw the international this year. I saw the concert, and it was really anticlimactic.
So many people were like, "I don't know what's going on here." I was expecting.
There was like this gif of the cameraman. He was just going mental, wobbling everywhere. Like, what are you doing?
Well, you have to add impact in there somewhere. Let's pretend it's good.
That'd be an interesting thing for EA to do, though, right? I mean, they could start looking at tournaments at EA Play.
They could support esports in their own games. They could make these tournament formats themselves.
They've shot themselves in the foot, right? When Battlefield Hardline first came out, people were touting it, and they were all guessing. They were saying this could be the next CS:GO, right? I mean, there's no bullet damage like there is in the standard Battlefields, where everyone's a bullet sponge, and suddenly they just see jam and they're fine again because it's quite quick. But then DICE and EA were just like, we'll update this, and there was no one playing, no one bought into the hype, so
it wasn't very good.
I didn't like Hardline at all.
I played the beta a lot, and I really enjoyed playing the beta, but once I'd finished the beta, I didn't want to play the game. I got enjoyment because it was just Battlefield, but it was cops and robbers, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't pay money for that, but it was an enjoyable experience because I got to experience it for a couple of days, and then that was it. I didn't want to play it again.
Wasn't the main problem that the multiplayer itself was almost like just like ripped straight from the previous games? It wasn't properly implemented with the story of the actual game, the campaign.
Yeah, they tried some new things, but it didn't work very well. To their credit, they're still updating it now and putting tons of new content in. But it's
just get LA DICE on it.
The player base is not there. Every time I watch a video, like where I review,
it's like
Jack Frags or Matilda,
Titanfall.
Exactly.
I like Titanfall.
It was a good concept for the game, but then everyone played the 6 maps it came with, and they were just like, "Well, there's no one playing this anymore. I'm done. I'm out." But yeah, EA Play, if they put tournaments in place for their games, I mean, I don't think we're going to potentially be seeing a competitive Peggle tournament.
Well, they'd need to make a Peggle game, off the bloody Xbox One marketplace.
That's true.
Yeah. I would enter a competitive Peggle tournament if there was.
You want competitive Peggle then for the next game?
I would use only Lord Cinderbottom and use his fireball power up. Or maybe Jimmy Lightning, because every time he hits a green peg, a guitar plays and he goes, "Radical!"
That's the kind of, spur on that I need to win.
He also gets another ball from the thing. It's not just the lightning thing.
I've spent a lot of time, a worrying amount of time in both Peggle and Bejeweled.
And Peggle nights where they have dreams.
Oh god, yeah.
And
what?
I think Jimmy Lightning wants to win a PhD, or he wants to win a Nobel Prize.
You think there's no plot to this game? You hit balls like there's so much plot.
Well, I'm someone. I definitely think there's no plot to this game. I don't understand the appeal of both of those games.
I'll give you Bejeweled has zero plot, but it's just very addictive.
I don't understand.
The guy that does the Bejeweled soundtrack as well. Oh my god, I love the Bejeweled soundtrack.
The soundtrack,
it's a guy called Skaven.
Both games have really good soundtracks.
Oh, it's just so intense to listen to. Any game that has Ode to Joy when you hit the final boss or something like that is okay in my books.
Yeah.
I think that's about all we have to say at the moment on EA Play.
What I was going to say about Bejeweled is I love the Zen mode because it doesn't end. You just keep going and making combos, and it just every time you do something, it just says nice things about you. It's like you understand that people love you.
The weird subliminal messaging and like the binaural audio and just the breathing Zen mode is like you have this thing just going in the back.
The thing about Bejeweled, Toby, it's a very relaxing game and it's a podcast game. I'm never playing Bejeweled and not doing something else. It's a game you can play and you don't have to pay that much attention to it. It doesn't need your immediate attention.
Do you find with games like that you sometimes do better when you completely zone out? You're just doing it kind of just
Yeah.
I find that so strange. I've just will see matches. It's like Bejeweled is one of those other games as well that gave me Tetris syndrome, where I would just start dreaming about if I move this blue one here, I can make a hypercube.
It feels like one of those games that would be good on a phone, but they never make them on the phone. Like, there's Bejeweled Blitz where you get to play 60 seconds, and you can try and match as many as you can, but it's not like the full-fledged Bejeweled games you can get on the computer.
Peggle was on the iPad. I'm pretty sure Peggle was on the iPad.
I think it was, but
yeah.
It was probably loaded through the ass of microtransactions.
As per usual.
One thing before we come off this topic, I just want to say, me and Tony were having a conversation the other day about Uplay and Origin and that sort of stuff, so it's a tie-in. We were saying EA doesn't really make that many original games. They kind of just have, let's get the Star Wars IP, let's make a Battlefront
all their
game,
stuff
let's
comes
make
from
another
other people's IP.
But we said one thing Ubisoft does is when they're not afraid to make a new IP, and sometimes the new IPs can be really good. It's just the problem when they keep remaking the same game over and over again.
I was saying that even Watch Dogs, like, even though it's a bad game, like, the premise itself was kind of weird, and I wouldn't expect it from a AAA publisher.
Like recently, I've played Grow Home, which is a Ubisoft
Grow Home's
game.
a great
It's
game.
really good.
Yes,
It's
really good.
It's a Ubisoft original IP, and it's really fun.
Yeah, there's not many things like that.
There's like you haven't played Warp, but Warp's really fun. It's like an alien puzzle game where you walk inside your enemies and blow them up.
EA are obviously not the biggest thing with IP, but that's because they never were meant to be in the first place. They were a publisher. That was the point.
Yeah.
Before Steam existed, you needed a way of getting someone who could write a CD for you and get it on shelves in the stores, and EA facilitated that purpose. Whereas now, they're just like, well, we want to stay in business, so it's just, you're making a good game, that's ours.
I was reading an article the other day, I was reading an article the other day, and it was from EA, and they've said they want to gain trust back in games.
Yeah.
Now, I think they've come a bit farther with this Origin Access, and if EA play, they start releasing some original games, they start making some right moves, adding some more content and stuff to fleshing out some of these bare-bone games, I think they could really grow some, trust back in myself and other gamers.
It's going to take a lot to win me back after forcing me to connect to my Battlefield games using Chrome.
You've played Battlefront, though. You like the Battlefront.
I like Battlefront 3. I liked Battlefront 4 after it got patched a bit.
No, not Battlefront.
Oh, Battlefront.
Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah. See, that's not actually that bad, right? I mean, once you're in the game, that one had a proper interface and it was just quick matchmaking.
I think as a Titanfall
PC gamers,
problem,
though. It doesn't, in a sense, right? They're adding new content now. I think as of tomorrow, I want to say, or possibly the day after, that they've got like Cloud City going up and a few reskins of characters who are not interested in that much. But Cloud City, damn, I love that from Battlefront 2. That was pretty cool. So I'm quite excited to go back to that.
It was
I liked the only good thing to come out of the prequels is probably the bonus level where you got to play as the Gungans versus the droids.
Yeah. That was superb.
It was super easy for the droids because there was the giant shield that you just walked through and then killed everyone. The Gungans were quite hard.
Because I think one of the things they've said as well is they've cut off the latest film. The Force Awakens. You get the battle, which was the Battle of Jakku, was the free DLC that they announced for Battlefront, which has gone out there, and that's kind of it's okay. But you're like, okay, well that's fine because I'm going to get to play on this massive ice station, or I'm going to get to play on Starkiller Base, and like, no.
Well, they've got Hoth.
But the thing is, they're not doing it. They're going back to the old stuff.
Well, we want the old stuff.
Yeah, it's good, but they've limited themselves, basically planning for, hey, it's Battlefront 2 again for.
We want Tatooine.
So you're saying they're just reproducing the old Battlefront 2 stuff from the current gen, opposed to making their own unique thing, like what Battlefront originally did.
I think the main feature people really want is the space battles. That was the really fun part.
Yeah, no, I would. If they had space battles in,
the enemy ship, get inside, sabotage it.
It's one of the things that, like, you see these sort of games that try to do it now. I think I can't remember what it's called, but it's one where you can fly from, like, you're in space and then suddenly you just enter the atmosphere and it's like
No Man's Sky.
Yeah, No Man's Sky, right?
I'm quite interested in this.
Not procedurally generated in any way, but Star Wars had that ages ago, right? You started off and you were on like one of your Star Destroyers, you took a little TIE fighter down to the planet, and then you were like, hey, let's start shooting
an atmosphere system.
Yeah, it was great.
Recently, actually, there was leaked of the Battlefront 3.
Oh yeah, before it got canned, I saw that.
Yeah, and people were like, this is what the Battlefront 3 game should have been.
Yeah.
This is what we really wanted.
The only point I was going to make about Battlefront and what EA kind of did when I first started is PC gamers always complain when there aren't dedicated servers, right? These days, I'm seeing it less and less. Like, I don't care as much. Maybe that's because I work more now, and when I get home, I can just literally say, "Okay, you're in my party. Off we go." But for me, it's not a big issue anymore.
I would say that I think it's still a big issue, like in any game. Like sometimes you need a better server.
You definitely do in some games. Like I'll give you Gary's Mod, for example, right? Nothing's going to work if you don't have dedicated servers. Big
games, the more people you have, the less peer-to-peer will work.
Yeah,
I know in Battlefield 3, me and my friends had the most fun on dedicated servers because Operation Metro was a real clusterfuck with explosives. So on this server, explosives were banned, and it was actually quite balanced, the map. Like, it was a lot more fun without explosives with, like, 120 people on the server. But anyway, moving on, we're having a new section this week where we're going to be talking about board games, because my brother plays a lot of board games.
Many board games.
We've tested them out. And look, me and Dan have played these personally, and Toby doesn't know anything about
I know nothing.
This board game.
I've heard about them. I've heard things, rumours in the air, but never seen them or really heard of them properly.
So we're gonna bring Dan on probably every other week, and we're gonna try and sell a board game to Tony, and he's gonna decide whether he wants to play this board game or not. It's kind of a reverse wish list where I decide if I like Toby's wish list games.
Wolf of Wall Street style. I'm gonna sell him this pen.
Yeah.
So
sell me this pen.
So Tony.
Yes.
Do you like space?
I love space.
Do you like working as a team?
It depends who the team is. Who is the team?
Well, that's okay. It's all of your friends. Well, I've got good news for you, Tony. This week we're going on an adventure with our team in space. It's a game called Space Team. You may have heard of this before.
Can I stop you right? I already don't like the name.
Okay, well,
it's fun.
The name doesn't like you either.
That's fine. The feeling's neutral.
So, you definitely haven't heard of Space Team at all in any medium? No, okay. So, Space Team actually started as an iOS game.
Now, I personally played the iOS game before it was a card game. I didn't know.
And Android, I should add.
I didn't know that they'd made it into a card game afterwards.
Yeah.
I know me and my friend Andy, we'd played the game. We've played it with my family. It's a little iOS game. You get it on your phone, and you each have to get a spaceship out of a black hole by pushing several levers and buttons. But there's something special about the buttons.
Yeah.
Which is...
So, every person has their screen in front of them. Every person has a whole host of buttons, and I'll give you an example of some of these buttons could say. For example, it could be set the wobbly hyphenator to setting 4.
Okay.
And you might have the wobbly hyphenator somewhere on your screen. You might have just like a bunch of pictures, and one of them will have a smiley face on it. And you will get a command at the very top of your screen that says what you need to do as a team in order to fix that part of the ship and escape.
Okay.
However, you may not have the button for your own action.
Right.
So you're sat all in a circle. You might have the wobbly hyphenator, and I'm just randomly looking at my screen whilst Joe is shouting, "Fix the pluginist hyphenator!" And I'm like, what are you talking about? No, Toby, fix the other thing.
Then it gets interesting because sometimes they don't have the names on them. So I'm just like, can I have the purple kettle, please? Because I'm describing what it looks like because I don't actually know what it's called.
And in the iOS game, again, what you're doing is at some point everybody will go enter an asteroid field and you'll have to shake your device. It's quite a clever concept. It's what's been affectionately referred to as a shout 'em up.
I think it's probably one of the best games on... I'm not a big fan of phone games, but I think Space Team's really fun.
Mobile games
that's like a mobile... Not D&D per se, but it's like that sort of setup when you're going to do something like that.
It's like
an interaction game.
It's like a mobile board game. Almost.
Yeah.
You can't... One of the downsides to Space Team, or I guess actually a plus side for me, because I like having everyone round at the same table.
Yeah.
You can't play online, right? So you couldn't all jump into a Discord or a Mumble or a Ventrilo server or whatever and start reading out the things, because it's all done over either local Wi-Fi or local Bluetooth. But the concept's really cool. So what happened was people basically saw this, a bunch of people who I don't think had ever made a card game before, and they thought, we could turn this into an actual board game. We could turn this into a card game, and we'll see how that goes. And
It
they started
was on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
so one of the odder things about this board game is it was actually crowdfunded. It was a Kickstarter. Having seen and loved the actual app, I kind of backed it straight away. And the way it works is basically the same. There are a deck of malfunctions, i.e. the things you need to fix.
Yep. Okay.
There are tools. You always deal out all the tools, and everybody has some of these things. And I should add as well, there is there are some very strange looking tools in this.
Yeah,
there's
like
something
the purple dildo.
Yes, the thrust collider, I believe that one's called.
There's two purple dildos.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So you'll start making your own names for these things, like, but my God, if you just start saying, I need the purple kettle, everyone around the table is just going to look at you and go, I have 3 of those. Which one?
I need the ray gun with the yellow thing.
I need
the thing
the,
on it.
the slime combustor. No, the single action inducer.
Okay.
So
basically, it's
you
like
think,
how
okay, well,
people
that's...
in Ratchet and Clank named the guns in the game. They had so many they just
Yeah,
made
exactly.
it up.
So, all sounds so good so far. I've got a bunch of tools which are in other people's hands potentially. I've got some things to fix. That's not so much of a problem.
Okay.
Here's the problem. I'm playing. You're playing, Toby.
Yep.
Joe's playing. My mum's playing. My dad's playing.
Okay. Bit
Dad's
weird,
sat
okay.
completely opposite me, and there's a few people, around the table, having some fun old times. Dad's got the tool that I want. Dad cannot pass me that tool. He has to send it around the table.
Okay, so you showed across the table, I want the purple kettle, and your dad's like, I've got the purple kettle.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in between you two. You have to pass it to me first.
Yep.
And then you have to explain to me why you're giving me this so I can give it to someone else.
Yep. Because otherwise he could just hold it and sound like, I don't need this, what's going on? Now, all of this sounds pretty good so far. Until you realise...
It's timed as well. You should mention
that's the point. It's like, you're against the clock. If you don't beat this in 5 minutes, and it comes with a nice little sand timer, your spaceship explodes.
You're trying to fly away from a black hole, basically.
The deck has got hidden in it 6 cards. And the cards you put in the centre of the table as you come across them, because they're hidden in your malfunction deck. When you flip them over, they'll say something like, booster systems are go! And that means you're getting ever so slightly closer.
Right.
When
so
you have all 6.
You get all the hidden cards
to
not be devoured by a black hole.
Exactly, yeah. To not get eaten by the space whale.
Right.
But, again... That sounds great. You know, it's like, I'm
This
just
is
about getting to this.
This is my favourite part of the game.
But then, unfortunately, you come across an anomaly. It's like, oh, this was going so well, and now suddenly I've remembered I'm a robot, and I don't have thumbs. And you are not allowed to use your thumbs for the rest of the game.
Okay.
And it's just like...
So you've been using your thumbs up to this point,
just...
and then you realise, I don't actually have thumbs.
You've remembered you're a robot, and you just realise, how was I
You
using
have to
thumbs?
use your fingers like pincers to pick up the cards. One I got all the time was like my tools got knocked out of my hand, so I instantly had to throw my deck onto the table and be like, I can't pick this up. Like everyone else had to pick up my tools for me.
One of the great things about this game is if you can play it blind. This is going to be one spoiler that I kind of don't want to say, but I will because it's so funny. The first time we played this game, we played with my family. And at one point, we were just going through, we were changing things, we were trying to get these things fixed. We'd already changed seats once because we'd come across a wormhole. And then suddenly, my dad just gets his cards, throws them on the table in front of me, just goes, you don't know me! And it turns out he was a belligerent drunk. And we had to just all shake him and go, get a hold of yourself, man, before we could continue. It's great.
Yeah, there's stuff like you can get sucked out into space and you're not allowed to continue until everyone puts their hands on them and drags them back into the ship.
It's got a nice element of role play to it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you really do get into.
It sounds like a very tactile game. Like it's great. It's great just round a table when you get your friends over, your family over.
It's a very loud game.
Yes.
Speaking of it, again, it's affectionately called a shout 'em up, and I would say
I can definitely
what
see.
it is.
It's definitely aptly named.
One of the more evil aspects to the card game as well. I hear you cry. It gets more evil. Is the cards? Joe, you've handled the cards. How would you describe the cards? Would you say that they had a lot of friction to them?
No.
No. Well, how would you say that they were? Would you say they were probably the slipperiest thing that
Yeah.
you've ever held?
They're really easy to just drop and get.
Made out of the essence of a slug.
Yeah, pretty much. At one point, my mum was complaining about how Joe had dropped his cards accidentally halfway through while she was trying to shuffle them, and as she shuffled, they just exploded everywhere. It's just... Words cannot describe how much I can recommend Space Team to you.
Okay.
It has so much replayability because you only ever shuffle a certain number of cards.
It just changes the difficulty.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you say, I want to add more malfunctions.
I'll be honest, I'm already
Or
sold, but it sounds like a game that I wouldn't buy myself. I would go around with friends to play.
Exactly. So Space Team's not a single-player card game. It's not the kind of game you can play on your own, because otherwise you'd just have all the tools and you would instantly solve every malfunction you come across. I would say it's recommended that you play with... Yeah, I would say the recommended number you have is at least 4. Because if you have 3, you can always just pass the person to your left or your right, and that element's kind of gone. But
to me, like, obviously I've never played it before, but to me, like, 5 seems like a minimum in a way, almost. Because like 4,
5
you can
makes
still
it
just have to
better.
pass twice to someone.
We played with 5.
Yeah, the first time I played was actually at a board games evening at work.
Okay.
And there were about 7 of us around the table. One of us with a sore throat. And this was before playing the game. Trying to organise everybody going into a wormhole, changing seats, whilst one of you remembering you're actually a robot is very hard. But it's a very, very enjoyable game. So at this point, Tony, I will ask you, have I sold you Space Team?
I think you've definitely sold it to me. It's the only game I want to play.
Toby, you're supposed to give your answer in the format of the mysterious stranger from Resident Evil 4.
Oh, I see. I'll buy it at a high price.
Thank you. Right.
Oh, good. Excellent.
I think next week, shall we talk about... would you want to talk about Love Letter, or do you want to talk about the dungeon game?
I think the next time I'm here, I'll actually introduce you to a game that I don't think that we've played. I don't think I played with you.
Well, you can sell it to me then. Unless we play it.
It's called Coup.
Coup.
Yep. I won't say much more, but it's a game about hidden roles.
Okay.
Right.
There's a coup.
There is
Jacques.
Okay. Well, you should as the advertising agency of EA, you successfully sold me this game.
Excellent. It's not an EA game.
no.
Challenge everything.
But disclaimer, not an EA game.
But it does bring us quite nicely back to the topic of kickstarting or crowdfunding.
Yeah, Daniel listened to the last podcast because I forced him to several times.
He strapped into a chair, put headphones on. He was forced to
Pretty much. It was like that scene in Clockwork Orange, except you were holding my ears open rather than my eyes.
Going down and get Malacca with the boys.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. There's like a few things that we talked about. Obviously, you talked about on the last podcast about kickstarting and crowdfunding. This one I think worked quite well. One of the things that I actually have purchased with it is the Not Safe for Space edition, which, as you can imagine, I don't know if you've ever seen games like Exploding Kittens, etc. Basically, they just
more
have
dildos.
Yeah, more dildos for you to resolve, or more problems with one astronaut stuck in another astronaut's bottom.
Right.
And that was one of the kind of additional rewards that you could get. So kickstarting board games is quite an interesting
Exploding
one.
Kittens is quite an interesting game.
That was kickstarted as well.
It's kind of like a crazy Uno in some sort of way.
It is very strange. You know, there's a bunch of rules we don't play with Kickstarter with Exploding Kittens that change it even more. One of the rules is supposed to be you just shuffle until someone says stop.
Oof.
It's very weird. So crowdfunded board games.
You're someone who's more like... You do a lot of Kickstarter, because you even crowdfunding a smartwatch as well, didn't you?
I actually didn't crowdfund it myself.
Your friend did, and he got a new model.
Yeah, exactly. So I managed to get it off.
So by proxy...
Yeah, by proxy, I'm a crowdfunder. Does that make
by
sense?
proxy crowdfunding?
Tony, we were talking mainly about early access game, but we don't do a lot of Kickstarting, because, there's... I think it's harder to see what you're going to get through a Kickstarter than it is with like some
I've kickstarted 4 or 5 games now.
Yeah,
and
but would you kickstart something physical?
I definitely would. A couple of years back on Angry Joe's YouTube channel, like he was talking about kickstarting like a board game, and it sounded really interesting. And I think I would definitely have kickstarted that if I hadn't missed the deadline completely.
Mm.
But obviously then there's shipping issues
So
as well.
I'll give
like
you an
being
example
in America.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of one of the reasons why I'm very cautious when I kickstart things. I'm always quite open-minded, right? If I think something's really going to do very well, I will put money down for it and think, I want you guys to do well.
Yeah.
I think for most consumers, it is almost always better to wait and pay, let other people pave the way.
Yes.
Because the initial Kickstarters are the ones which are basically saying, I'm going to pay a lot so everyone can
It's what tell
this.
businesses, isn't it? It's like, if you're paying for a Kickstarter, you should expect to not see that money ever again.
Yeah, exactly. Right? But for physical things, I will tell you a story about a product that I very nearly almost backed, and then at the last second realised, what the hell am I doing?
What was it?
It's called the Scarp. The Scarp was a laser razor.
Sounds like something Peter Molyneux would come up with. It's a cube social experiment.
It is exactly the kind of thing that Peter Molyneux would come up with.
Oh, God.
It was their basis was like, here's this razor. We want it to make it so you never have to buy blades again.
With lasers.
Here's the laser. It cuts only the hair, which is at this wavelength, and it works. Look at this. And then they had a video
that does
was
sound kind of
recorded.
cool.
That sounds
It's
cool,
but
as
then
a
you see the
physicist,
guy's
I can see
video.
the problems already.
Exactly. He's got this video of him with a laser on the tiniest patch of hair, going backwards and forth over it, when one of them suddenly just gets singed a bit. It's like, yeah, there you go, there's all the proof you need, it works. It was pulled from Kickstarter and popped up not 2 days later, but not with any stretch funding. It was a case of whatever money you give us, we get.
Wow.
So be careful.
I felt like he just like, right, it works, and his arms on fire. It's like, cut the video.
Yeah. Kickstarting is a very strange place. I'm for it if I can see there's maybe a good team behind it. Like I've had.
Yeah, you have to know that it's a good team, don't you? You have to know their pedigree.
Yeah, people have problems with Kickstarters, and I perfectly understand them, right? A lot of people say this, like, but it's the only way to get access to funds. But I went to university, I did computer science. I have friends now that have, I think they tried the Kickstarter route and it didn't go well for them in the first place, but they've started their own company now through, like, angel investors, who,
I just imagine people with wings in a briefcase.
Descend, just like a sack of money, just like,
you have been given $5,000, my son.
And what they actually did was pretty cool. They're a team, you might want to look them up, they're a team called Visor, which is VISR.
We'll add a link or something in the description.
They make branded Google Cardboard, pretty much, which again, you were talking about before. VR. So it's a case of, VR for the masses is going to be in the form of these like smartphones that everybody has.
Well, last week Tony didn't think Google Cardboard VR was going to go very far.
To me, it's different. It's different altogether. It's not the same like VR and what.
So it is different. I'll say why it's different, because I have used one before. It's a neat experience in that if you imagine your average VR experience on a PC, for the most part you're sat down and you have to have this massive tower and you have a cable attached to your head.
Yeah.
For a smartphone, it's a completely different experience in that you can just walk around.
But I'd also say the experience isn't that much augmented from it either, though.
It's a different experience, right? You're never going to get the same kind of.
That's what I was saying, is that it's not the same. It's
graphics.
Not the same industry at all.
Yes, exactly. So the reason why this team stuff is clever is what they do is like, well, there's going to be events like, say for example, EA Play. They could go, they take their little cardboard thing, and then they handle all of the work at designing logos and printing these things, so that EA can then hand them out at the event, which is a pretty cool business venture. So, and they made that through an angel investor. So you don't always have to use crowdfunded techniques. You can do other stuff.
A lot of crowdfunding is, we're going to use your money to show that there's interest in a product so we can use it to get more investors. Like we were talking about Psychonauts 2, that was the way that they were going to do it on Fig.
Yeah.
They were going to use the crowdfunding to show interest in the product and then get the rest of the funding to actually make the product.
So I don't have a problem with that, as long as they're completely upfront with it and really transparent with how the money's being used.
Tim Shaver wasn't completely
no.
transparent about the way he was going to crowdfund his game. But I think we'll move on from Space Team. Toby's been sold, he'll buy it at a high price. And we'll talk about the Division, or the downgrade from the 2013 E3 trailer that was very good looking, but we can only assume high-end PC pre-rendered footage. The review
Vertical
embargo for the
slice.
PC version was lifted recently, and the beta's come out. And I know, Dan, you've been playing the beta today and yesterday. So do you want to talk us through the kind of things you experienced with it?
Yeah. So the first thing that I have is some good news. The good news is the graphics are not bad, right? Every time you hear about these people complaining that the graphics have been downgraded, my response usually is, of course they have. Because when you're at a big event like E3, you're going to have this Windows PC. Even for Xbox games, they have like a massive Titan-rigged Xbox game
But
that's
it's
running
not
on a
even
PC.
optimized. It's just optimized to get the best graphics with that machine in particular, not every machine.
And when I was sat playing it, the first thing I did was I stuck everything up to Ultra as far as I could go. I'm not one of these people that will play and go, I'm not playing this unless I can play with 60 frames per second and VSync on. I would rather things actually look
you
good.
prefer pretty instead of smooth.
We're split on this.
I prefer 60 frames, 1080p over everything else.
Yeah, so I'm a split on this. In a game like, say, Team Fortress or CSGO, I'm with you. But in a game like The Division, where I'm mostly playing the campaign, I didn't enter the dark zone, which is the PvP aspect. I'm not so fussed. And I'm also one of the few people that doesn't care about screen tearing. I don't notice it.
I don't care too much about it either, actually. I'll just ignore it in a way.
I've got a 60 Hz monitor. I want to get 60 frames.
Which is fair.
I want it to sync up, so I don't see any screen tearing.
So anyway, with putting all the settings up to Ultra, and with looking into like a book that was on the shelf, you could read the text. It was nice and clear. You could go outside, and when it starts snowing, it looks great.
Just to say, you have a 970, so you don't have a low end system.
No,
so.
My machine is what I would call mid enthusiast tier. Right, it's got an i5 which is overclocked. It's got a 970 in it. It's got 24 gig of RAM. So there's not really any problems with running most AAA titles. Sometimes I dip settings down to get a better frame rate. But in this case, I wanted to push the graphics as far as I could go to get a sense of what had changed from what was going to be.
What are the PC options like before you go into the gameplay?
Tons.
Motion blur.
So
Windows
you've got your standards
borderless,
like Windows
VSync.
borderless. There's that you can turn motion blur and lens flare in fact on and off.
Is there a bloom feature?
I'm not sure, to be perfectly honest. I didn't see one for
ambient
bloom.
inclusion.
Yes, ambient occlusion.
Tessellation.
Yep, all the standard stuff like your shadow, depth of field, all that kind of stuff.
I usually I'm someone that finds that shadows are dynamics. They usually eat up a lot of power.
They do.
Like I know in my MOBAs, I turn shadows completely off. Like I don't have them on at all to get the best frame rates.
For games like CS:GO, for example, I'd leave
shadows help you.
Because exactly, you can see a player around the corner.
You want a good headset because you want to be able to hear footsteps. Precisely. And I know people really, they say 144 Hz monitors actually really help them play the game and stuff.
So the graphics settings are definitely there, and I know that there are. There's also talks about what's going on with settings that haven't been seen before on PS4, for example. Like
they're adding these PC-like options onto consoles, which is quite interesting.
As far as I can tell, there doesn't seem to be a frame rate cap, unless you want one, which you can set obviously yourself.
Okay, so they haven't done the
taxing itself.
The second circle of hell on capping the FPS.
I didn't see a benchmark feature. I didn't run it. I also didn't see a way natively in game of putting an FPS counter at the top either.
I usually use the Steam overlay thing, but this is a Uplay game.
Which again comes back to Uplay. It wasn't too bad. I downloaded the game. Everyone was obviously hammering those servers at the same time, so it wasn't too quick. And I got in, started playing pretty much straight away. Having the experience of playing that game online, as big as the world seems pretty big, you're going to be limited to just the island of Manhattan. And at first you think that's pretty huge. But from what I've seen so far, it's got fast travel for stuff in it, for example.
It seems more like an RPG than an open world.
It's
sort
weird.
of GTA kind of game.
It's got the GTA graphics, right? I think that's why a lot of people associated it with that. But it's definitely
like a Watch Dogs, if we were going to compare it to a Ubisoft game.
Closer to Watch Dogs, but then
it has the Tom Clancy tag, or did they remove that?
No, yeah, it's a Tom Clancy. It's Tom Clancy's The Division. So I can't think of what the game is, but there's a where you go around and you find elements of loot, and loot have different like values, like kind of like Borderlands, right?
Yeah. But it seems like
it's like that.
it's very different. Borderlands is kind of in your face. We know we're an RPG. We have this like wacky, unique art style and sense of humour. And then The Division seems more like we're a kind of a standard open world game, but we've got hidden RPG elements. That's what it kind of seems like to me.
From what I could see, right, changing your RPG stuff is not gonna affect like your gameplay too much in the way of, say you were playing Mass Effect, right?
Yeah.
You spec yourself out one way, suddenly you are the most killeriest killer man in the world.
Have you played all the Mass Effect?
Everyone but the last one. I still haven't played it because...
See, Irvin's lent me, he's my friend Irvin's, he lent me the original Mass Effect, and I got lost in the Citadel.
Me and Andy had a joke,
Yeah.
was like, if you could find a way around the Citadel, no capital city in the world would be complex.
Andy had the Nintendo Wii
Yeah,
version
yeah, yeah.
of the
The,
first Mass Effect
Minecraft-
on his shitty
The
laptop.
Minecraft version.
Yeah.
Fun fact,
You could see the pixels.
Mass Effect is the only game ever that I have played where I bought them cheap in a Steam sale, booted them up, and I played through the first one in a 24-hour sitting. I literally started at 7 o'clock in the morning. By the time I finished the first one, I was like, holy crap, I'm still up, it's 7 o'clock. And I then went straight on to the next one.
You played it for 24 hours?
I did. I played 24 hours. I went straight on to the next one the next day. I went to bed for like 5 hours, got up again, I was like, I want to continue this story. It's so thrilling. I got to the end of Mass Effect 2 and I was like, I'll pick up 3 when it comes out.
I didn't really like the
probably
combat
back
that much, and I could see why people like it, but Mass Effect as a game just didn't really pull me into the combat.
The lore
and the
for me,
story.
the combat was... I liked the first game combat where your weapons only ever overheated. You never had to pick up ammo.
I kind of wish they had like a hybrid
like.
between the first game and the other games. Like, why can't there be like some guns that are only overheat and other guns that are only ammo? Why did they change it to all ammo? I don't understand that.
Yeah, it was a bit strange, but for Mass Effect, the lore was what really grabbed me. You know, these Mass Effect relays and the guess.
I like how they actually tried to explain it.
I
realize that a lot of it is like made up science in some ways, but at least they tried to make it integrated and make sense.
It sounded
realistic.
realistic.
It was reasonable.
I don't
Your
think,
suspension of disbelief was justified.
I don't think there's really been a great sci-fi FPS since like Half-Life. Like I can't think of one apart from like maybe Mass Effect.
Yeah, I'd say
because you get like these Halos, these Destinies, and they're kind of not really.
You might be right actually.
Well, Mass Effect definitely isn't. It's not an FPS. It's third person.
Well, it's a shooter. Let's say that.
Deus Ex is kind of cool, but it's not.
I didn't like Deus Ex either. I found it.
I really liked
it. I hated it.
Deus Ex Human Revolution, I should add.
I'm a big stealth fan, and I really hated the stealth system in that game.
Really?
I found it really buggy, and it was just awful. I could not complete that game.
So going back to The Division, it does have a fair amount of RPG elements. One of the things that's bugged me so far is it seems like the kind of game that's perfectly set up to have that same kind of stealth element.
Okay.
Like you find muzzles around for different reasons, and one's a suppressor.
Can you
stuck
choose
that on this Scar H straight away. Yeah, that's what I thought, and then I immediately shot someone with this, got a headshot. So cool, I'll move on to the
bullet sponges, though, aren't they?
They just literally all turned around and started mobbing me, and I was just like, oh, okay. That suppresses
the way like a RPG like Fallout would do it. You'd get like a critical strike if you shoot from stealth. That's kind of how they do it.
There is an element of that to it, but it's not what I kind of was looking for, which was I want to be able to shoot and pick off enemies carefully.
You want to be realistic.
Going back to that,
like a gunshot in real life
can
just kill you. Like just one bullet.
Exactly.
But then it wouldn't really be an RPG game.
That's true. The problem is, right, you get these people...
if you could go around instantly killing everyone, for example, just by using stealth, what would the point of item upgrades?
Yeah, that's true.
Like that?
I get why they did it. It's going to have a fair amount of playability to it, but your point about things being bullet sponges is bang on, because the first thing I did was enter an area where I was like, okay, I'm going to sneak up on these guys. I got out my assault rifle, because you start with like an M4. Trained it at the guy's head, did some damage. This number like 900 comes out with red, and then I see his little health bar just go boop, and I was just like, what?
I think it was alright in Borderlands because you had these giant alien skags.
Exactly,
and they were
in Borderlands
sponges.
it makes sense. These people are either psychotic so they don't feel pain.
Have you done any PvP combat? Did you meet any other real players?
I didn't go into the PvP zone yet. I haven't had time. I focused on the campaign and all the side missions. So I basically... when you actually do all the side missions and the campaign, it comes up with a message that says, "Thanks for playing the beta." Right? Feel free to go to the PvP zone, and the PvP zone is quite clever. It's still integrated. You start off in this kind of home base called Camp Hudson, which is based on the Hudson River. And there you see other people and you can talk to them and you can decide if you want to do matchmaking and party up.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you walk outside into the outside world, if you haven't partied with them, they just pop out of existence.
Well, when they showed it on the demo, they kind of set it up like this is going to be a living, breathing world. You're going to come across real players and they're going to rob you or betray you and stuff.
Nope. If you're playing through the single player campaign, it's you, and if you want to play with friends, you can. Otherwise,
but it's just is there going to be a multiplayer sort of?
Well, there
campaign.
The campaign is you on your own, and you can party up with friends like you can in Borderlands. And
I thought this was going to be like a multiplayer only sort of game.
Nope, definitely not that kind of affair. There are missions at the moment. You know, I can't think of another game that has this, but it's got like a base building.
Fallout.
Not that kind of a base building, right? You have this main base of operations, and you can like spec out certain, kind of like XCOM. You spec out.
I was going to say
certain
it sounds
parts
like
of wings,
XCOM,
and then it changes the way that you get perks.
You have like a research lab and that
yeah,
sort of
exactly.
stuff.
In the beta, the only one they have unlocked is the medical wing, and the rest of it's really annoying actually. You walk everywhere and you think, oh, this looks cool. I'm getting these pieces of electronics. I'm going to be able to build some new kit or whatever, and then you spend your entire time spamming your inventory full of this stuff, and then you get to this base and it's like not available in the beta. You're like, why have I been collecting all of this? Why did you leave it in? And I guess to their credit, in a way it's worked. It's made me think, actually, I kind of want to play this. I am usually not the kind of player to play third-person shooters at all. I don't like cover-based shooters, and I don't think they work on PC.
Oh, really?
But I did enjoy playing through the beta on this.
So you don't think they work on... You don't think cover-based shooters work on PC?
No, I personally am of the mantra of if I can avoid bullets by crouching behind something, I'll do that. Give me a crouch button, I will use it. I don't like getting hard pressed to go up against something. It works for some games.
I think the last third-person cover-based game I played was GTA 5, and that worked pretty well. But
yeah, I think all most games I
it's
play
definitely
kind of have that.
The control scheme's okay.
Just like doesn't Mass Effect have that? Doesn't Deus Ex have that? Doesn't
well, I didn't like those games.
So that's the thing.
I don't like the sort of cover-based system either, like the Gears of War sort of stuff.
Gears of War I've never liked.
I don't dislike Gears of War because of the cover-based system.
That's one of the main reasons I don't like it.
I always thought it was daft that... For when I was playing through the beta, I'll give you an example. I only died once, and that was because of poor design, right? I died once because the level started...
but you were in a cutscene.
No, it wasn't in a cutscene. Right? There are some cutscenes.
Yeah.
And there are... they look pretty good. There was this hospital I was supposed to go into. There's this door, which is just kind of like, as far as I could tell, sticky taped shut. I walked towards it, and then I saw there was a flashing light on it, and I was like, okay, this must mean I'm going the right way. And then that was apparently a breaching charge, which blew open and killed me instantly. And I was just like, okay, I won't do that again. But it respawns. There are certain points, like, it will tell you there is no respawning.
I really love games that have really punishing traps that they don't explain.
Yeah, I don't think this was one of those. It was actually just either, maybe I missed a tooltip or something, but it was not obvious.
Because playing through Fallout 3, it was like, I'm going to go into this tunnel. I just stood on a fucking bear trap. My leg doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. What's this in this baby carriage? It's an explosive.
I always hated like, in Fallout 4, like, they throw grenades and they would instantly blow up as soon as they got near you. Like, there was no way to get away from it. No way to really... Like, other than just tanking the damage, I didn't see what else you could do.
So that's the thing with this game. You hide behind things and you shoot them from cover. In fact, one of the things I discovered is it's the standard thing of... I can't remember which game did it first. It may have been Gears, where you don't even have to look. You just the character does this over the wall. Where they point their arm over the wall and they go bang, 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 bang. Your accuracy is massively reduced. You're like, and I'm taking no damage. I don't think there was like a difficulty level, and I should say as well, the characters seem to scale. So I came across enemies, and that I was level 4, and they were level 5.
They probably want to keep like no difficulty level to balance multiplayer.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. But it was weird, because the idea behind it was apparently some of these people have a virus and there's martial law in effect, but I don't understand why me shooting them like with an entire 30-round clip from an M4
They kind of
didn't
like
make them die.
zombies, sort of.
No, not even. They're just normal humans.
Humans with guns.
Yep.
And they somehow
Yep.
Go around killing people.
Yep. And sometimes you come across people who, as far as I can tell, their only distinguishing feature is they have more health because they have a name. None of these people had names at all until you come across someone and it's like, that's Kurt Langer over there? Like, what about Kurt Langer? It's just like, don't question it, he's got yellow health instead
So
of the
Bethesda logic, named NPCs are harder to kill.
Yeah, pretty much. It was just like, Kurt Langer, he's a toughie, he is. Why is he
Nameless
tough?
Bandit.
Have you heard of his name? His name's Kurt Langer. It was weird. I'm sorry to any Kurt Langers
Kurt Langer?
out there.
Who's that then?
It was just genuinely. Actually, I think that was one of the characters' names in one of the hospital missions.
Well, did you find the big boss almost characters kind of were boring?
Yes,
because
incredibly.
Borderlands did really well. They made all the bosses really interesting. They had all their unique personalities, and you were okay with
you can remember
doing
all the
the same thing over and over again.
They give you things like they give you these little side missions to do, or they give you contaminated zones you have to enter where you flick a few switches on and then it gives you a countdown timer and it's like, go find the other switches to flick. You're like, okay, and then you maybe come across a small group of these people who have also got guns and you kill them, and then maybe the timer runs out and you go do it again. You're like, okay, that's fine. And then when you're doing the main mission quest, it's like Kurt Langer's just stood at the other side.
You really
of his
don't like
field
Kurt
with his
Langer,
machine
do you?
gun. And he's Kurt Langer's a dick. He's just sat there with his fucking machine gun, mowing people down. But you're on literally the other side of a football field, and he's just tickling you. You're moving from cover to cover to cover to cover, and then you get a decent shot, and you just shoot him a few times, and you're just like, is that how this is going to keep going? I don't see the appeal. You know, it was a bit of a disappointment.
I mean,
going back to the.
You said that you wanted to come back when you found content was locked off and you wanted to try it out.
Yeah, there was elements to it that I thought could be cool, like the perks at the very end. I basically spent the entire game with two perks. One, which was a kind of like what I'm going to call Batman's detective mode, right? Yeah. It sends out a scan pulse, and then it does X-ray vision. Tells you how many threats are around you, tracks them for a short period of time. You can see them through walls, kind of like the augmented eyes in Deus Ex, actually, right? And you could use that to plan what you were going to do a bit better,
right.
And it also gave you like bonus critical hit damage a little bit.
Was there really much planning you could do? Like, because in Batman Arkham Asylum, you could go around, set up traps and sort of stuff.
You couldn't do that.
It was kind of like you can plan, but you're kind of just going to be deciding which enemies you're going to kill first.
Yeah, the benefit would be if I shoot that guy at the back first, that's bad because he'll take the longest to get to me, so I'll shoot the guy at the front first. And then that guy's got a baseball bat, which intrinsically means... That was one of the strangest things as well. I'll add that now. Just because a guy has a baseball bat does not mean he's crazy. Every character who had a baseball bat in the game would just literally come round a corner, regardless of what enemies were pointing a gun at him, going, "Wah!" and just run straight at me. And there's a few bullets in your game. That does not make a good character.
It's crazy. I think that's true.
He's crazy.
You haven't shown me any evidence to suggest that it's not true.
If it had been Kurt Langer, I'd have been scared.
Yeah. Maybe we should find Kurt Langer in real life. I think he's based off a real person.
He probably is. He's probably an absolute BA. Yeah. I mean,
was the campaign closer to like a single player GTA experience?
It was. I don't know. Imagine. I know you didn't like Deus Ex, but you've played it, yeah. It was that there was a main mission each time in a set world. No loading screens, by the way, which was impressive. The only loading screens that you go through.
You went to a helicopter.
That's at the very, very beginning of the game. That was one cutscene, right?
Yeah.
And once that was it, there were no loading screens, or rather, they were hidden from you. Okay, so you would walk slowly through this screening process, and then assumably load the rest of Manhattan in beyond that. And yeah, it was okay. I mean, the graphics looked okay. I did experience some bugs, and again, this is in beta, so it's not completely.
I saw a screenshot. You know when Unity was released, you had the people without faces and just eyeballs and mouths.
Yeah.
I saw someone was like same shit Ubisoft. There's just one of the NPCs just had eyeballs and a mouth, and the rest of the face wasn't rendered.
I didn't experience that, but at one point I was walking through a certain part of the level, and it was bright purple everywhere, and then suddenly the textures loaded in and it was okay. I thought that was a bit weird. And then I experienced what I would call kind of game breaking, where I was halfway through a level, and if I looked up, everything was fine.
Yeah.
If I looked down, everything was fine. If I looked forwards in any direction, it was just yellow, intersecting everywhere. Like certain textures would just pop in and then yellow everywhere. And I couldn't play it. The only way I managed to fix it was by fast travelling to a completely different area, and then having to go all the way back.
How long is it till the Division comes out? Do you know?
I can't remember actually. I can find out, but it's
because Toby, you thought this beta was kind of close to the release of the game.
Yeah, I
had
a funny feeling it was.
I think it's pretty close.
Because if we're seeing these kind of bugs in the open beta, then maybe that's a warning sign, like a Unity kind of Ubisoft's been known to release broken games before. What will stop them now?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, again, I've only got a 970, so not too high level, but not too low level.
970 is a lot better than most.
It's pretty good.
It says here 8th of March,
and I was running it on Ultra.
So
cool.
It's coming out fairly soon.
Yeah, in about 2 months' time.
Well, let's hope they clear up the
yeah,
bugs then. We don't want another Unity problem.
Yeah. I think they're gonna get a lot less people dealing with their shit now with Steam refunds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'd say so. But again, I didn't pay for this. It was just an experience.
I've got to say though, like, from what you told me, like, I haven't been missold. Like I don't want to. I still want to look into this. Like, it still sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, no, it like the gunplay aspect, for example, I quite like the sound design from the game seemed pretty on point. I like games that have like a gun. When I was firing the M4, for example, it really sounded great compared to when I was just firing my pistol, just like pop, pop, pop. Another strange point, by the way.
Yeah.
All of the sidearms have infinite ammo.
What?
Well, you get that a lot in games where pistols have like.
But in this
ammo.
kind of open world, right, where you're constantly finding these restock boxes, and you can put a fair amount of specs into your sidearm.
That's ludonarrative dissonance.
It was strange. It was just kind of odd.
Ludonarrative disco biscuits.
One of the things I should say is about the ammo doesn't take up space in your inventory. It's just like guns and other. Like,
well, they do that
stuff you
in like
find,
Fallout as well.
Yeah, so it was. Yeah, it's okay. But I wouldn't be put off necessarily from.
I've been put off by this because I was under the understanding from the trailer. So first of all, it looked fantastic. Now I've seen this sort of downgrade. This downgrade 3 years in the future.
I mean, to be fair, it does still look good. It just doesn't look as amazing.
But I was under the impression that it was going to be, you'd walk around with your friends and you'd be scavenging. It's kind of like an open world survival experience where you were having to you'd have to scavenge food, and then another party comes along and goes, we want that food, and you'd fight over it and that sort of stuff. And I thought
that's exactly what I thought.
That was really interesting. But if it's another just bullet sponge RPG, just doesn't
pretty
really
much bullet sponge RPG.
Sound
I
like
work
it's good.
for the government. Here is all of the ammo you will ever want. It was like you find water and med kits and other stuff like cans of soda as you're walking around the world. As far as I can tell, the only purpose for those is so you can give them to civilians and they will drop you cosmetic items and a bit of XP. So you do all that searching, and I was expecting at some point maybe I could consume some soda for a quick burst. And again, I didn't look too much into it, so you might be able to do that. But the benefit to me was always like, now my character has a cool hat. This is excellent. I love cool hats. I know I look more like Kurt Langer.
Yeah.
Would you recommend someone to buy the Division based on your beta experience? That's the question I want to ask.
If you like RPGs and if you like cover-based shooters,
I wouldn't call it an RPG.
Can we make a comparison with like Deus Ex things? It does sound like very much like Deus Ex. Like, where does it stand?
No, you definitely you can equate the two as far as single line of narrative with side missions go, right? But in Deus Ex, a lot of the things you do actually will change the plot somewhat. Or you can be stealthy, like I mentioned
there's
before.
No stealthy,
or you can go guns blazing. But there's not really any stealth in as far as I can tell, from what I played. So it's almost an unfair comparison, but it makes some sense.
I don't know.
Like,
from what I've heard, that doesn't sound
storyline-driven
like an unfair
works.
comparison to me. Like, a lot of it seems almost the same.
Yeah,
What they're going for, at least.
Removing the stealth aspect, right? So Deus Ex is different because it's a different setting, right? You're basically
it's designed for the stealth.
person
Let's
who can
ignore the stealth.
Shoot. Yeah, ignoring stealth and ignoring the really superpower aspects. For example, I don't think there's a way to like make it so you have a parachute. For example, you're always going to have to be climbing up ladders, climbing
That's
down
not necessarily a bad thing.
Do you ever go up into the sky? Is there any vehicles?
I never once drove in a vehicle apart from the helicopter at the beginning, which I couldn't control. That was just me landing in a cutscene.
Okay.
Good news though, you can still close car doors.
As you walk past them,
Yeah.
the door closes as you push past.
Yes, it does.
Do fish move when you swim?
I haven't been able to.
Because that was a big
try.
feature from, of course, the only two games to ever do it: Mario 64 and Call of Duty Black Ops.
Yeah.
We also know from Call of Duty that dogs are more important than women to have in a feature in the game.
Dogs are more powerful than nukes.
Another thing I'm a bit confused about: the Division. There are rats and there are dogs just running around everywhere, and you can kill them. I don't see the point. The dogs bark at you, but are never aggressive. I've not come across an enemy dog.
I think it adds immersion to the game.
Probably.
You get the sort of stuff in GTA where there's cats, there's dogs, and they're there, but you don't ever really interact with them. Because I think there was a big criticism of one of the Assassin's Creed games, is that you always heard dogs barking, but you never saw a dog.
Yeah.
And people were really annoyed with this, and they were like, okay, we're not going to allow you to interact with dogs, but we're just going to add them, they'll be there. That's it.
I did kill one of the dogs in the game just because I wanted to see if I could, and the game let me. But I did instantly feel bad afterwards. So they're saying something.
Did they drop any loot?
No, they did not. They literally just died. And I was like, oh, now I feel bad.
It's a survival game. You got to cook the dog meat, crawl inside his stomach to survive the cold.
You might be.
Is it always snowing in the game? That's a good question.
So, it has a day-night cycle. That was one of the things I was about to move on to. It's got a day-night cycle. It will snow and it will stop snowing. Sometimes it snows a bit heavier. And
is it
becomes
set
foggy.
always in winter?
Yes, as far as I can tell. But
according to the
snow
plot,
level
it's
changes
set a small
slightly.
smallpox pandemic spreads on Black Friday.
Yeah, it does. So it's Black Friday just after Christmas, so it's in winter. And it's the smallpox virus which is going around, which is why the quarantine's in effect. So that kind of almost immediately eliminates the whole zombie aspect. It's not like you're going to be suddenly discovering clickers or anything like that, right? It's snow, for example. The snowfall looks good if you put the particle effects up in the settings. And the dogs that I mentioned before, they'll have snow fall on their backs. It's that nice little attention to detail. Would I recommend The Division as a new IP and something that I don't usually like that genre.
Is it a new IP if it's coming from the Tom Clancy
umbrella? I'd say so. I don't think it's...
it's like the Sid Meier's though, isn't it?
I don't think this has been done before.
Sid Meier's Pirate, Sid Meier's Civilization.
I'd say, but all the Sid Meier games are pretty much the same game almost.
Not to Pirates, I wouldn't have said,
But if you think about like Tom Clancy as like Ghost Recon, for example, that's very structured levels. Let's go and kill someone with stealth, or I can go.
Didn't they have like Tom Clancy's The Siege or whatever that was called?
That's Rainbow Six.
Oh, is that Rainbow?
Like that? Yeah.
Rainbow? Is it?
I think it's still Tom Clancy, but that's a different game. That's tactical, kind of almost CS:GO level. Let's go.
That looked pretty good.
Yeah, the Rainbow Six Siege looks really cool.
But we're coming up to about an hour and a half now, so I think we should move on to the final topic.
Yeah.
So what would you say about The Division? You would recommend it?
I would at the moment
shooters?
recommend it if you like third-person shooters. I think it's I wouldn't be a type of person that buys it at launch. I think it will probably be too expensive as a AAA title, but it looks interesting. It's one to watch. Look for reviews for people more qualified than I, like Total Biscuit, and then make your decision.
So quickly, we'll just go on to it. Yandere Simulator was banned from Twitch. So I'll just quickly explain that Yandere Simulator was a game where you played as a yandere girl. It's some sort of Japanese term for someone who's like in love with the main character, but it's a bit insane.
Yeah, you're only killing
basically
people, basically, in a way.
Basically, you go around killing rivals to your sensei, I think, as she was called, and they had a bunch of features that it looked really well developed, and it was a game a lot of people wanted. But
I think you mean senpai, not sensei. But continue.
What's the difference?
Sensei is teacher, senpai is someone you admire.
There you go.
Okay. Well,
Weebs unite.
So, basically, yeah. Recently he'd been releasing development blogs because there'd been a lot of interest in the game.
His videos have been really good, actually.
It does look really good. It'd be a game I was interested in just because of how well it is developed, and the idea was something no one's really ever done before. Like, it looks really interesting. And the way you have like a sanity meter and you become more crazy. Like, he was explaining how as you get more insane, your kills get longer and longer and more violent, which means you have a higher chance of getting caught and stuff.
He was trying to add different things in as well. I think there were like modifiers that were the type of panties that you wore meant that like, you could be less noticeable when you did
there was
something.
some obvious stuff as why we can assume it got banned from Twitch, because he made a video on this. So one of the main elements is a very violent game. There was torture. There was faking suicides, killing people. There was also the panty shot mode where you
very
take
dark
photos of students' underwear. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you could convince like girls to kill themselves as well. I mean, that's pretty dark.
But basically, it was banned from Twitch, and he didn't really hear any reason why. He could understand why it was banned, but he was willing to change some of the features. If it was a core feature that he wasn't willing to change, then obviously
but he wanted the information to know if he could change it or not.
Exactly.
The problem was there was no communication from Twitch. He emailed them, he sent a message from Twitch, and all they did was refer him to the terms of service. They just released this list of banned games, and no communication.
I'm going to say that right now. So if a company just links you to the terms and conditions, they're being lazy and have no real reason. They don't really care about you. Like that's just straight up.
This bugs me because games like Grand Theft Auto 5 are arguably just as violent as Yandere Simulator.
You can have sex with prostitutes and live on stream.
Exactly.
Well, there's torture scene in GTA 5.
But because they're big ticket games that lots of people play and that make so much money for Twitch from the big streamers playing it, they don't ban it. And it's it's the rules of six of one and half a dozen for another.
They banned hatred as well on Twitch, and it wasn't a great game. Wasn't really as controversial as they made it sound out to be.
Not even slightly.
They were like, right, if this game gets released, people are going to go and mass shootings, they're going to kill everyone. If you were able to stream this, kids are going to watch it, and they're going to go and kill people. You're allowed to stream Grand Theft Auto. A kid's going to watch Grand Theft Auto and go, I want to go hire a prostitute and kill people. Probably not. People understand that games are video games. They're not stupid.
One of the things that sort of annoys me is I think I have an idea of what may have happened along these lines, right? There must be these circles of what I call the evil circles of mothers that sit around and they talk about, Timmy's been playing this.
I believe they're called parent-teacher.
Something like that.
Yeah,
and they're just sat there going, Timmy's been playing this really terrible game. And like the games that they come up with are always these things like hatred, like Yandere Simulator. Where of course, you say it out loud, it sounds terrible. And then they go out and they buy their 12-year-old Timmy an 18-rated game like Grand Theft Auto because it's the done thing. I'm just going to put it out there. Parents are stupid.
We were never allowed to have GTA until
not until we were quite older.
Oh, I was able to have it because
you
kind of just gave up.
I never really played
because he was like, you can go around other people's houses and play GTA, but not in my house. And then when I was like 12, he was like, alright, I give up, you can have GTA. And they was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just murdering this prostitute. And he was like, okay.
The best part was coming up with the like ad hoc storylines for it. Whenever you just say, what are you doing? I'm part of Bob Marley's crew. We're going around to murder the rival gang run by the Whalers.
There was something you could do. The favourite part about those open world games is that you could just run around and you could do whatever you want. Like Yandere Simulator seems like one of those games where you can just, if you don't want to follow like the main story, you could literally, he's made a mode where you can just go around murdering people. You can just do whatever you want. It has a lot of freedom inside the game. That's
I
what's
don't
very
want to see it, like,
interesting.
going back to like your evil circle of these people. Like, that doesn't equate to going out and doing that in real life. Otherwise, surely loads of people have been mass murdered.
But because these mothers have heard about this game once, though, they just think we must stop it.
The evidence doesn't support what they're saying.
I honestly think it's just... I think it's literally just Twitch basically trying to cover themselves while still making money.
The YouTube approach, just covering their asses and then screwing over other people.
Yeah, YouTube's been under a lot of scrutiny for not communicating with anyone, taking down channels and stuff.
These copyright strikes that, depending on where you are in the world, forms are completely different to fill in, apparently. I've seen this.
We might talk about this next week, but we are running out of time. So we'll go on to the final topic, which is
I've been looking forward to
Toby's wish list.
Okay.
My favourite feature, where I ridicule Toby for having absolute crap on his wish list that I look at face value based on the trailer or just the pictures, and I have a look and I pick specifically ones that look really out there. Let's have a look.
I remember from the last podcast, Shanti and the Pirate's Curse. That was that looked, it was good.
Uncraft World.
Yeah, that caught my eye. Hold on, right? Immediately, anime girls
Can I just say,
the thumbnail.
Uncraft World is legitimately a great platformer, though.
Isn't it a Minecraft game?
No, sort of. It's a
called
cube-based
Uncraft
platform
World,
which you get to like cannons, which destroys the background, which reveals anime women.
And there's anime girls.
Why
in the
are there
background.
anime girls in
but
the?
guys,
in
if
the...
you don't want anime girls, there's a kitten version.
Anime girls.
One of them just exploded. What? There's a kitten version? Oh well, I'm sold.
Hang on. Full controller support.
Oh,
I
nice.
always pick fucking platformers, so I'm gonna say it again. Full controller support for your platformer is 100% needed.
This
so
is legitimately a
props
great
up,
platform.
well done. What the fuck is Steam turn notifications?
What is it? A turn-based game?
Jim Sterling said it's pretty fun platformer with boobs.
Sold.
Yeah, that's.
Can I just say I love it when smaller publishers
you can't
get
criticize
almost
this
negative
one.
reviews.
It's too good.
It's too good. I like when you go through a chest, an anime girl just jumps out and
It's
is
great.
like,
She's just like,
"Hello."
hey. It's the YouTube thing, right? Tits in the thumbnail.
Well, I think I'm
That's
not
how
going
you
to
get
excited, but
views.
like from what I've actually seen, like it legitimately seems like a really good platformer. Like,
how much was it, Toby?
£7.
£7.
how much is it?
Have you played it, Toby?
No,
or is
this-
it,
it's
it's
on
just
his wish
wish
list.
list,
This is what I
of course,
want.
isn't it? Yeah.
The idea here is so when you put a game on your wish list, usually you know nothing about it, but you only see the store page when you go through your queue.
Okay, right.
So a lot of these games I see, I look at the queue and I go, "What the fuck is this?" And then I go,
Unfor-
"Wait a minute,
unfortunately-
Toby's wanted this game.
Yeah.
What is it?"
Unfortunately, I tend to know more about these games because I just like I don't know how, but I just like find people playing these games.
I don't know. From seeing the trailer, it doesn't look too bad, right? There's a whole lot of stuff going on I don't understand, but there's stuff like gravity's changing, and the art style
looks
does look
fun.
pretty on point. So, I mean, the art style reminds me of. Have you played Bit Trip Runner 2?
I played Bit Trip.
Yeah, so the original Bit Trip Runner was kind of like this voxel-based thing. I quite like that as an art style. Apparently, it's now Super Meat Boy. Very interesting.
I
That gets
love
a pass.
Super Meat Boy.
For me, I think that gets a pass.
This
Toby.
platform looks really fun. I just don't think you need the anime girls, but
No,
that's a selling point
it's
for you.
really,
No,
it's really
sex
satisfying to
sells.
see at the end when you zoom out to see the whole picture.
She's just like, you did well this
Oh
time.
wait, it's
Have
got the tag nudity, Toby. Is there naked anime
I don't
girls?
think
Is
that.
that
I think
allowed on
it's close
Steam?
to it, but
I thought games had been removed from
One
Steam
thing
before.
that really confuses me is the Steam turn
Yeah.
notifications.
Do you know what it probably is?
What?
You know when you're in like Rocket League or you might not have seen, or in Awesomnauts, when a game's about to start, the icon flashes orange. It's probably that.
Okay.
That's probably all it is.
Right. So
Which I love the fact is that is a feature though.
Daniel's given it his thumbs up.
Yep.
So what we do is we say if it's okay that Toby wishlisted it, and then you say, would you personally wishlist it?
Me, I am a respectable member of this with good
So,
standing
you're saying
in the
I'm not?
community. So Tits in the Thumbnail gets a. Let me finish. Tits in the Thumbnail still gets a thumbs up from
okay.
me.
Okay. So I think the base game looks good, And I'm going to say, well done, Toby. You've seen through the anime bullshit, and a game that looks like it should be a platform.
I'm just going to put out there, I actually really like the anime bullshit. I think it's like a guilty pleasure for me. Like, I just kind of like the whole... I don't know what it is, just the whole aspect around it. It just seems really interesting to me. I don't know why.
You love massive cartoon boobs.
That might be it. Maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe it's as simple as that.
The thing that confuses me, if I didn't watch the trailer for this, I would think it was another shitty.
No, absolutely.
Minecraft
I honestly, when I first saw this, like being played on YouTube, I thought, "What the hell is this?" Obviously, clickbaited me.
Yeah,
watched it and thought it was really good.
Pleasantly surprised.
I saw Uncraft World. I was like, oh, it's going to be some shitty Minecraft clone with anime girls. So, but I like platformers.
No, I honestly think you would like this, Joe.
On my wish list. It's on my wish list now.
There we go.
So we're going to go back to your wish list, and I'll let Daniel pick one this time.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Scrolling past all...
Girls.
Yeah, I saw that. We just had something that had girls in it, though.
Try not to pick a platformer.
Yeah, that's...
Because I always pick platformers, and I like platformers, so... Okay. I will always give Toby a thumbs up.
Yeah, that's how you get around Joe's prejudice. You just go, it's a platform.
Oh, okay, yeah. We can talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
What?
So, Toby, would you like to explain to me what it is that you liked about Eurofishing by
fishing
Dovetail?
Eurofishing.
Yes.
Just to start you off, Toby, it's got mixed reviews, so you may be in the minority of people who want this game.
Oh, that next-gen lens flare.
Okay, do you want me to read out the description for you? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Eurofishing immerses you deep into the adrenaline-packed action, fun and beauty of Europe's most famous lakes. Master your rod, line and tactics, and refine your technique to become a top angler. This is the closest you can get to real fishing from the comfort of your own couch.
Can I just say
the middle section of that description is what I expected to be the description
master
for
Uncraft.
Yeah, master your rod.
You know, master your rod, line and tactics.
There's legitimately a Flash game like that. You don't want to know.
So, so why did you put?
I don't like fishing. However, every game that has fishing in, I tend to fish in it for some reason.
I think the fishing MMOs in most games suck.
Okay, can I put something out here?
What?
Lego Island 2
yeah.
had one of the greatest fishing minigames in the world.
No, I don't remember this.
It was literally this most... You pepperoni on a pony. He walks up to this little lake, right? Throws his little line in, and he goes fishing. He catches some minnows. Everything's really, really peaceful.
Yeah,
and then suddenly... Bertha, this massive fish takes over, and the music just changes straight. It was like dun 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 dun. Oh, it was just one of the greatest things I think I've ever seen.
It's because most fishing minigames, it's like the WoW one where you put a line in, you wait for it to bob, you right click it. It's like
in Minecraft.
Yeah, it's the really boring fishing minigame. Now, I think one of the best minigames in any game is the hacking minigame in the original Bioshock because it has nothing to do with hacking.
Yeah.
It's connecting water
pipes. The thing is, though,
and that's really fun.
This is not a minigame, Joe. This is a full-fledged game. It's completely complex. It's realistic. It's like you're actually there.
Toby, how have they made fishing fun?
They haven't. That's the point. It's realistic.
Oh, okay. But you don't like fishing, Toby.
No!
Is that realistic?
Can I just say as well, something just came up during the trailer, just like, we have modelled the ghost carp in as many detail as we can.
Real life fish.
I wonder, could this be the third game on that list that has realistic fish?
I don't think it's a golf MMO.
No, could it be the third game on this list?
Fish that you don't actually go into the water, though.
But fish AI, it's
true.
real.
Well, you're saying that this is not going to be the next thing. Is that what you were going to say?
I don't think so. And I'm pretty good at guessing these, so...
Zero.
I'm like zero for
No, it's for 3. We don't know what it is for... the golf MMO, we don't know about that.
Golf MMO's still got time to grow and be the next big thing.
Can I just say, one of the things that just flashed up on the screen as a feature was the fact it has locations Not
Have
specific locations.
locations.
What have we got? Locations such as a pond.
So far, it's
a
just been
lake.
like, we have fish, locations,
Can I just say-
fishing rods.
Can I just say, one of our friends already owns this game, Joe?
What?
2 of my friends, Michael owns it. So
We should get him on.
that's
Get
a
him on next
big
time.
fish.
Let's interview him about this
Oh my
game.
god, this is amazing. Well, for me, I'm afraid this does not get
This is
the,
a no.
This does not get the arf seal of approval.
I am definitely not putting
I-
this on my wish list. I'll say
I
that
think
straight
this is a
up.
no
I
from
would,
me as well.
I would club this seal of approval.
I hate simulator games. So
Yeah.
Again, simulator games are another one of my weird things I like to buy and look at.
let's see. It's got leaderboards, which for a game like this is probably a good feature.
Oh, okay. I just read the cost. I was reading the a Dovetail
Yeah.
Games franchise collection cost, and I thought it cost £60. I thought this cost £60 for a moment
No.
there.
No, that's all the DLC, you know, the train simulator bullshit. It's like
Eurofishing,
$1 grand to
Microsoft
buy
Flight
all the
Simulator
DLC.
X.
Can I just say it also does have Train Simulator listed?
Train simulator Sherman. You
What?
can fish on a train simulator route.
Oh, you could play
Yeah,
Train Simulator. Get off of your train
You
stop,
can
load
go to
up
the
Eurofishing
famous
Simulator,
Sherman
and then
Hill route
fish.
and fish
Yeah.
from it.
This game blows my mind, but not in a good
Now,
way.
another thing, a feature, multiplayer. How do you multiplayer fish?
The same as single player, except occasionally your lines get.
No.
Cross.
There's competition.
We're gonna,
If you take a fish
We're
from
gonna
the
have
lake,
to-
you can't then take the same fish that they've already caught.
but it's already got leaderboards, so I feel like if you leaderboards
Is it
to
how
kind of cover
quickly
that.
you get the fish, or is it how heavy
There's
the fish is?
there's
No, it's obviously the rarest fish or
Oh, okay.
something.
So
like
your
that.
average goldfish isn't going to get you much, but if you manage
It's
to catch a
probably
great
big rare fish.
yeah, I think they go by
Timed.
weight traditionally.
This trailer,
white. Okay.
I think it's just playing. Oh, it's playing 3 different.
I thought he'd
trailers.
just thrown his actual fishing rod in the water.
You're getting a nice CGI cinematic.
So just to
on the
clarify,
trailer.
you're not sold on this.
Oh my god, their
not
faces.
sold.
No,
No.
not even slightly.
Toby, it costs £20, and I don't think I'd put 20 hours into this game.
What do you mean? I definitely could.
Well, it's a pound. It's £1 per hour, and I would not put 20
Okay,
hours.
what
into
was
this
this
game,
50% off?
not-
10 hours.
Toby, it's so far off my wish list. It's on the not
Okay.
interested list. So we're
Okay,
going to move
next
on,
game.
and I'll pick the final wish list item.
I think that game was actually so bad, I'd rather play Bad Rats.
No.
That's
Bad
saying
Rats has
something.
a 2D physics system that can go into the 3D plane if it's misbehaving.
No, I'm not clicking on that one. It's a platformer. Right, next.
It looks quite interesting.
Is this a
What
dating
game
sim?
is it? You have
Let's
to
hope
tell
so.
me.
Date Warp Silver Edition. Visual novel.
Okay.
Alright, you found another visual novel thing.
Oh, but with a puzzle aspect.
Yeah.
I'll read the description out. 5 days ago, Janet left her dorm to go on a date and never came back. Ooh. What? There was no way I added it for effect. Was she kidnapped? Ooh. Murdered. The truth may be even stranger. Solve puzzles to connect together pieces of the story in a science fiction adventure with 11 possible endings. Pretty much just Until Dawn. by
It's
the sounds
anime
of it,
Until Dawn,
you
yeah.
know. Yeah, same thing.
But released
Splish, splash, bosh.
6 years ago.
Yeah, so it's got partial control.
Yeah,
as
the
a
best
bot.
feature.
For fuck's sake, I hate partial control as a bot because all it means is that you can use the controller in the fucking menu. That's all it means.
But
It's
isn't
so
this game
useless.
completely made out of
In
menus?
fairness, in fairness, if it is a date sim or a visual novel, then I get that. That's okay. But if you can't do it in the puzzles, that's where it falls down.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling the puzzles will
Well-
not let you do it. I think that's what that means.
Partial controller support is very vague and
Well, you have to
usually
remember,
awful.
partial controller support
Like,
means that somewhere in the game the controller doesn't work.
Wait, what is this? It's the hacking
Yeah.
minigame from
Yeah.
Bioshock, but then it leads to whether you sleep alone or share a room. What?
It's got unique choices, Daniel, that affect the overall arcing story.
will I actually get to play as God?
Is that the question you're
Well,
asking?
it's
Super secret ending. Am I God?
It's got Steam trading cards, so that's a feature.
Of course it does. That's definitely a feature. She's okay. I was going to say there's no boobs in the
Oh, of
thumbnail for
course
this
there
one,
is.
but then I looked at the last one.
She's not wearing a shirt in that picture.
No,
so.
she's not.
Yeah. It's got achievements. Don't really care about those, but some people do. I'm good. It's £7, but I would not buy this.
I would
It's not
say
my game.
It's £7 as far as I can see for the BioShock water
there's
hacking
multiple
simulator.
endings.
There's 7, Toby.
But you still
7
have to
endings.
complete.
No, there's not even 7. 11.
Yeah,
11, give it its full
I
amount.
bought Long Live the Queen, which has multiple endings in it, and I really like it. Like these types of games that have multiple endings in. Like I can play them like over and over again.
Is just having multiple endings a feature?
I would say so.
Really?
Yes.
Let's
As long as they're interesting.
let's face it.
Isn't that needed in a visual
I
novel
guess so,
game
yeah.
to give it any relevancy?
I think that's the
Yeah.
feature that makes it a visual
Let's
novel.
face it. If I wanted to pay this much for this game, I would wait until BioShock went on sale.
Yeah, but
And then I could do these
you're
puzzles
saying
and have a
you're
much
saying that
better
the only
experience.
gameplay in this
You'd
game
have the-
is the BioShock mini game, and that's all you want from this. I want the visual novel part.
Yeah, that's because it's a visual puzzle.
Yeah.
I can't see any actual options to like pick dialogue in any of the screenshots. There's a button that says autoplay.
So if you don't want to have any input, you can autoplay the game and just watch it like a film. This looks like complete crap.
I'm clicking the button. That's on the not interested list.
Right. That's the last game.
Well,
on
I'm
Toby's
sorry I
wish list,
couldn't
so
get
I'll
into the visual novel, but
You got me one game, which was the platformer street boobies ship. So, well done, Toby. You convinced me on one.
I think
But,
one
we'll
convincing
wrap it
is
up.
enough to be a success.
Yeah. So, do you have any final thoughts, Toby? Any plugs or anything you want to say?
No, not this week.
Right, I have been Joe. You can follow me on Twitter at Scorn2000. These will be up on YouTube and everything in between. If you type that in, we have a channel. Yep. You can follow me on Twitter because I'll post it there. It's probably easier. Maybe we'll have it on Google Drive or Dropbox or something because we've filled up our SoundCloud.
I think the main
if you want
will be on
an
YouTube,
audio-only
and it'll link you
version
from there.
Main will be on YouTube. The previous ones are
Yeah.
on SoundCloud at the moment because that was the easiest way to get them up. This one is going to be edited, so hopefully this will be an even better experience than the previous ones. We've got synced up local audio, and we're going to have pictures with the finished video version, so that should be really good. So yeah.
It is, however, nearly 2 hours long.
Yeah, if you don't.
Yeah. Well,
So I hope you guys really enjoyed us.
we try and set out the podcast to be in between an hour and 2 hours, so this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Usually we want to keep it more towards an hour and a half.
I think
but
hour and a
we've
half's
got
a
kind of
good
in-depth
target.
Topics we had a lot to
Yeah.
talk about.
Yeah.
We had more people on, so we had more to bounce off and we had more to talk about. So I think that was one of the
Indeed.
main things. But yeah, do you have anything to say, Daniel?
No, you
Any plugs?
Yeah, well, I mean, I talked about Mark, who I was watching at the beginning of the show.
You want to
can
plug
find
him? Okay.
You can find him at Video Game Carnage. If you like board games, the best place that I can actually recommend you to try and get reviews of board games is a place called shutupandsitdown.com.
Yeah.
There's a chap called Paul and a chap called Quinns, and they do some very funny and informative reviews as well as written reviews. Quinns, incidentally, actually used to write for Rock, Paper, Shotgun, so you know that's going to be fairly good content.
Yeah.
And that's about it. You can find me on Twitter at, I think, BookBrace at last check, but I never put anything out, so don't bother.
Yeah, I'm going to plug the Killian experience because he's very funny and he needs more subs. So watch him. He does really funny garbage retrospective reviews. His World of Warcraft video is very hilarious. That's what I saw it on the WoW subreddit. But yeah, that'll be it for this week. So to go away, let's have a nice little clap. Well done. Goodbye.